Hey, what's going on, people? It's your boy Hoos. Thank you for joining me. We're going to be going through the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer that showed off at the Nintendo Direct, just going bit by bit, analyze what I can catch. I'm not going to go super deep in it, but we're going to just get the more important details that I feel like that should be focused on and what you should take out from the clips itself. So let's go ahead and get into it. If there's anything I've missed, head to the comments, let me know down below. Now, first and foremost, it's absolutely crazy. Everyone knows. It's absolutely crazy they showed this at a Nintendo Direct, which kind of makes it interesting, but it's so weird that they would do such a thing because, Nintendo is not the parent console that this game has come from. However, they did dabble into Nintendo so many times with a bunch of the side games, but it's not their main thing. It's been a PlayStation type game. And besides that, when it comes to the three consoles, Nintendo's probably the weakest out of them. Don't flame me, Nintendo lovers. But what is startling about it is that no one expected it there. It was at a point where the Kingdom Hearts fandom was at pretty much their lowest. Like, they felt like this game was on the fringe of disappearing completely, and then they decided to go ahead and bring this out. So they must have either heard the clamor or just decided to put something in there so it doesn't get lost in the wayside of all the games that they've been announcing and putting out there recently. So like I said, we're going to go through the trailer just bit by bit, see what I've noticed, and we'll try to make it brief. There's a bunch of stuff that you need to know. The main thing about this trailer is that it just looks extremely polished compared to the one we've seen back in the anniversary release. A much more polished version of that is essentially what you get out of this trailer. There is a bunch of small things that do show up that you didn't know before, which is cool. But for the most part, this trailer is essentially a copy of that trailer back from 22, just from different angles, and again, extremely more polished, which is a good sign. But then again, we only seen basically the same location from different angles, so make with that as you will. So to begin, there are actually two different versions of this trailer, but we'll go into that a little further. But they both start off with this cutscene with the black robe figure in it and Darkseid. Now the black robe figure is being narrated either from someone outside or is the actual black robe themselves. Based on my initial thoughts, I thought it would be Master Ava, just due to the fact that she is the only one that's not accounted for the foretellers. And typically foretellers or keyblade wielders are typically the ones that have a black robe or no bodies. One of those three. But of all of them, the closest to the Master of Masters, who we know is in Quadratum, is Master Ava, who is completely unaccounted for. So that's why I kind of guessed that would be it. Now, based on other digging that's happened online, it looks like the voice of the narrator of the trailer sounds like it matches the voice of Master Ava from Back Cover, the video that came out in the compilation a few years ago. So right now, it's looking like it is Master Ava, unless it is, again, someone narrating from the outside and making sure that it's a massive deception. However, based on the silhouette, it does look like this is a female character that's in this robe. So far, it just looks like it's going to be Master Ava that's in this black robe. After she goes off about the encroaching darkness that occurred from everyone coming across from Sora's reality, and how essentially their existence brought forth the manifestation of the shadows, the dark sides, and other heartlesses. The Kingdom Hearts 4 logo drops, and you see Sora just whipping through. Now, as you can see, his Keyblade has chains going through, chains whipping out of it. It's similar to what Xehanort was doing in the final battle in Kingdom Hearts 3. So it seems like another level of mastery that you get to where you can access those kind of abilities in the Keyblades. Sora's Kingdom Key looks like it just manifests chains, and he's using that to whip off the cars to get closer to Darkseid. And man, that looks amazing, especially compared to how Darkseid fights typically are in most of the games, where you can basically only hit his hands just because he's so big. But to be able to see him be able to traverse high enough to get there, awesome. Now, obviously, this is more of a cutscene rather than an actual gameplay segment, but from what I can tell, it looks like there's a possibility of it being a thing. So you got Sora looking amazing. I feel like the way they have his model in this trailer just looks cleaner than the previous one. That's probably because of the whole system shift where they're using UE5 instead of UE4 for that previous trailer, or just given the time that they had to polish this one little segment. So he's coming in, attacking, and the city itself looks amazing. The amount of details they put in that is spectacular. If you look back with Sora landing there like a superhero, it looks like it's become more realistic in terms of like the action sequence, in terms of the aesthetics of it. It just looks like more, let's say, MCU, like more live action combat, more in our world, our reality, just as Quadratum is basically based on Tokyo. Now, following that scene, as you saw, it was Strelitzia who shows up. She was in the original trailer. She's a major character from Union Cross, the mobile game that a lot of people haven't played. However, I mean, I played it avidly. It was very repetitive and it wasn't that great. However, the story in Union Cross and the following sequel, Dark Road, are amazing, absolutely spectacular, and need to be remastered. If they haven't decided to remake it or remaster or just port it to a version where you can play it on a console, they're making a massive mistake. Whether they do it before or after the release of Kingdom Hearts 4, that's up to them, but it needs to be done. So like I mentioned, Strelitzia, then we have this character who shows up. Now, he is widely rumored, at least based on what we know, to be Sigurd. Initially, that's what I'm thinking as well. The color scheme just fits more like Sigurd's outfit from Union Cross. That purple on his shoulders, some of the gold metalling on there. But the thing about Sigurd is that he was always masked, at least for little bits that we have seen him for. So seeing his face, if this is in fact Sigurd, is startling. And I love the model. The model looks amazing. It's very different. Gives you obviously more Final Fantasy look just due to the fact they're in Quadratum. I wonder how it will translate if he goes into Sora's reality in terms of the more cartoonish look. But we'll see that in time if he does manage to transfer there. So you see Sigurd there without his mask. It's just so different. But again, this is all speculation. We don't know for sure. It could be a whole new character, but it definitely feels like it's Sigurd. Following that, you got another character here with the mask and the black hair and a Keyblade. Now, everyone was kind of surprised at who the hell this character was, but then after a little digging, it looks like this is actually one of the upper class mates from Dark Road. Again, the other portion of the mobile game that needs to be remade. It has to be in some way, some form. This is one of the characters that was in that story. He does end up perishing, which, spoiler alert, most people do end up ending. It was a Dark Road for a reason. So that's weird to see him here. Now, the way we think of Quadratum, based on what we gather, is essentially an afterlife. So that's why Sora's here. Due to his actions in Kingdom Hearts 3, he did end up perishing and being sent to Quadratum. And Strelitzia herself is also a character who passed away after being struck down by a darkness that was controlling Ventus from back in Union Cross. Now, this being a essential graveyard or afterlife for these characters, it makes sense for this character, Vali, to be there. Just, it's a surprise that he would be any kind of role in this story, just because there was so many characters in Dark Road, specifically, that should be here technically. So will we see more of them here? Don't know. But it's cool to see that there's another character showing up that has some significance. Again, I cannot press hard enough that they need to remake or remaster or do something with those previous games, just so people aren't lost and completely confused when this happens. So, got a good look at him. Following Vali, we got Luxord showing up again and looking like uber real. It's almost unsettling real, but it's also cool because it makes sense for this reality. He's supposed to be more realistic looking. He's supposed to be as if he lives in a more realistic society. So Luxor looking like that, even though it's a little disturbing, just because we've seen him so much in the Kingdom Hearts shade of the very cartoonish look. This looks amazing in my opinion. And then following that, we got a figure in a dark robe. The weird thing is those feathers. That's what you got to really pay attention from this. You can't really tell who the character is. If we had to guess, the feathers symbolize one of two things. One, the probably more far-fetched thing is Sephiroth. That's always a calling card of his, a feather falling down. But for him to be in a black robe or involved with Mom, that's a lot of twisting and turning that kind of has to happen there. Now, Sephiroth's location after Kingdom Hearts 2, which when we last saw him, is completely unknown. Him and Cloud disappeared somewhere. So who knows? Maybe they both perish and they're over in this reality now in some capacity. But the other option is even more annoying in a sense because it would likely line up to being a character that's from the canceled Missing Link game that got canceled last year. There was multiple characters in there that used feathers themselves to and possess other people and control them. So lines up to this being one of those two characters. Their name were Hugin and Mugen, which is also the names of the ravens that Odin uses in Norse mythology. And ravens, blackbirds, black feathers. It all makes sense that it would be one of them. Now, again, this game is canceled. It's not coming out, at least not in this previous entity, which was that GPS mobile game. If we have a character coming from that game and not having any kind of expansion of their details, he's going to be a complete mystery in this game. And either we're going to learn of him afterwards or we'll get some kind of remake of Missing Link prior to Kingdom Hearts 4. Again, that is to be seen, but that's crazy to be having a character from a game that's canceled in this. But what we do know is that Missing Link plays a massive role in Kingdom Hearts 4. It is kind of the roots of what leads to this course of events. But it not being available or not being a thing anymore, it's going to lead to a lot more questions. So again, it has to either be made prior or we're going to have to be confused throughout Kingdom Hearts 4 and get the information afterwards and Kingdom Hearts 4 comes out. All right. Moving on, got Donald Goofy back in the underworld like they were in the previous trailer. Looks like they're just continually to confront Hades, so like maybe a second after what we saw in the previous trailer. Then another shocker, well, to a degree. Now, Nomura has put out multiple artworks of young Xehanort, one at the end of Dark Road, the mobile game, of Xehanort holding the umbrella in a black coat, as well as a little while ago, he released another one saying to get ready for the 25th anniversary coming up next year in 27, with, again, the young Xehanort turned around with some flowers and holding his umbrella again. Now, here we go. Lo and behold, he's in the trailer. He's showing up covering Sora with a very broken looking umbrella, but covering Sora looking like he's trying to come support him. So it looks like he's going to play more of a supportive role rather than an antagonist role when it comes to Quadratum. So we'll see how far that expands. Now, we start getting into some gameplay. Now, this is where things differ between the two trailers. Now, first, we're looking right now at the Switch trailer. This is the one that they showed for the Nintendo Direct because it's being played on a Switch. As you can see, there's the A and B buttons on here at the menu command. Now, first things first, this build system, looks like it has a gauge. It builds up. It is something that looks like it builds from attacking and making contact with the opponent. Now, as you build it, it looks like new plays or new abilities occur, and you can activate those, and then they keep building into other things, depending on what commands you choose. Now, what's crazy about this one is that Sora is using what looks to be a brand new Keyblade, one that we've never seen before. Obviously, you're going to get that whenever there's like a new world or new event. So obviously there'll be new keyblades, but this one is one we've never seen before. It looks like it's majority fire throughout the blade, and then it has more of a blue water look at the bottom portion of the blade. As you see in the hub, there is a section with like, it looks like lava basically, so a bunch of fire and rocks, and then the other portion just looking like water. So there's some kind of duality to this blade. Now typically blades are, like I mentioned, associated with worlds. Sometimes there are some blades that are just made just for scenarios, but typically they could be teasing a Kingdom Hearts world in this moment, because that keyblade could be associated with a few different movies. The one that shows up, I hear the most, or I feel like it most likely is Elemental. The only thing that kind of like chinks away at that possibly being the case is the rock portion of the lava. Um, but I mean, if you're using the earth itself inside the streets or wherever you are, I guess that can come into play. But the combination of fire and water just speaks to that movie. It's just what it is. Moana's another one that could be a massive tease in this one. At the end of the day, you have Taka, who was a lava creature, versus Moana, who was very close with the water. So it could be teasing the Moana world. But it really just depends on what we see later on to be able to tell. Now, the only other weird part is that why would we see it in Quadratum when it kind of seems like Quadratum is kind of your hub world, the first world where you start at? Why would Sora have another Keyblade already without ever visiting another world? So that'll be interesting. And maybe they just put it in there strictly to tease a new world, or it's irrelevant. It doesn't have a new world associated with it. But either way, it looks cool, at least the little bits that we're able to grab. The movement and the flow when it comes to this combat is amazing. Like, there's so much you can see, and how quickly it goes in this little 1.5 minute trailer is impressive. But you see him ripping lava from the ground, smashing the opponent straight down into the ground, causing lava effects everywhere. It's impressive. Now, this one is related to his Kingdom Key. So with the Kingdom Key, it looks like he's able to summon those chains, as you saw earlier when he was attacking that dark side and whipping around the place. It looks like it's associated with some of the commands you see in here, and he's able to shoot other portions off of it. Now, as he's flying around, you see Heart Barrage show up on the screen, and that Heart Barrage, it looks like it's those Keyblade whips that's flying down and smashing that shadow down below. As you see Chain Raid possibly getting activated, and he's summoning out more chains. And as you saw, he can grind on those chains and get to the opponents and then release more heart barrages. It's cool. It looks like a lot that you can do with this. It seems like they decided to make each Keyblade have their own specific set of moves and specific set of abilities to make them more unique and more intense. Similar to the Keyblade transformations you got from Kingdom Hearts 3, but it looks just way more dramatic. Now, next, you got Sora pulling off this move. Now, what we saw for a quick, brief second there, he went ahead and got to summoning this, and I believe at a still, there was a section where it said Gate of Light. Now, that's what this ends up being, and out comes a swarm of Keyblades. Now, this is similar to what happened with him in Kingdom Hearts 3, where he contacted Ephemera, and that caused him to be able to use powers from Ephemera, and he summoned a big wave of Keyblades from the Keyblade Graveyard. Vanitas is another character that uses something like this, as you've seen in Birth by Sleep, and it's intense. So his is just much more brighter, glowing, with the light and golden. So he gets on that, and he's just flying through, smacking characters left and right. Now, again, this is where it differs. One of the things that differed back between the two trailers, where this one has it more focused on this crazy looking shadow, whether it's a Neo shadow or a regular shadow. It's just more realistic because of the world. And this Garge Heartless, this one has it focused on him. The other trailer, which looks like it's for all the other systems, was focused more on the big guy and just flying around. Now, it explodes at the end, causing massive AoE damage, it looks like. And then afterwards, we slowly transition to the dark side fight. This is more of a sequence as you can see, you're running side to side. Darkseid is gonna throw a punch. You can attack his hand like good old days. So that's continuing. You see Sora using a reflect ability, and after that we go into a cutscene where Sora runs and protects the humans. And then you got Darkseid. The detail in him is insane, but you see how muscular they made him look in this more realistic world, especially with how big he is. And then Sora comes in, protects the civilians, and there we go. Kingdom Hearts 4. Just a stunner of a trailer to show up just randomly for a Nintendo Switch Direct. That's shocking. But there was so much that happened with this trailer. With the combat itself, you got to see that it looked so much more polished compared to before. It's impressive to see how fluid this man moves. There's probably a little bit of floatiness in it, but that's kind of par of the course for this group that's working on this. But it looks amazing. The color, the lighting, it looks a whole ton better than what it used to look back in the initial trailer. But those are a snippet of what I've gathered from this trailer. Let me know what you think. If there's anything that I've missed, definitely throw it in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys got. Please like, subscribe, greatly helps the channel. But until then, thank you for joining me. Be blessed.